Microphone.
Yeah, UFC bantamweight Patchy mix, right? I mean, how does that sound to you now that it's all official and it's all done? I mean, how does that sound to you right now?
It sounds good, man. It sounds just where I belong. I feel, so many years, so many fights, as a matter of fact. So to finally be here, it's surreal, but it's where I belong.
Yeah, you've been in this building numerous times, but tonight, did it feel a little bit different attending the fights, knowing that you were signed to the UFC?
Yeah, it felt a little different. Tatiana's actually, big shout out to her. She's getting an award in California. She's getting inducted to the California Wrestling Hall of Fame right now, so she couldn't be here. So it was a little different. I got to bring my mom, and it was a little more, it was a little bit better. I mean, for, I guess, tonight, because I got signed and my mom got to come see it. And, if Tati was here, I guess that's the one thing that's missing.
Nice. Well, I mean, this whole process, right? Patient? Were you able to be along the way, or did you start to get a little worried that it was never going to happen? I mean, what was this whole process like for you?
I had to have patience, but a lot of frustration. Just not knowing, obviously I was going to fight Leandro Higo last year. Everyone knew what I'd do to Leandro Higo. I just wanted to, earn some money and stuff and stay active and still keep getting better, keep growing. So when that fight got pulled, I didn't know when I'd fight. I went to Dubai. I did a grappling match, against the one champion at my weight. And, I just kind of tried to stay busy and just try to fall in love with practice, Since I didn't know when I was fighting, I just wanted to keep getting better and evolving. So people haven't seen it yet, but I'm not the same fighter as I was last May, I'll tell you that.
Incredible. And wasting no time getting busy with a fight, right? Was that your idea? Did you want to fight as quickly as possible, or did they need you to fight as quickly as possible? How did that come together?
You got the call and you answer it, I'm not afraid of anyone in this division, especially Mario Bautista. So he's on a 7-fight win streak, and I want that 7-fight win streak. So when they called me, I answered it, and I'll make weight, and I'll get the job done. So, it didn't matter who. I didn't mind if he was ranked number 1 or number 50. I would have went against the best, the hardest, the guy that they didn't want, anyone to fight. It didn't matter. So it happened to be him, and I think Chito Vera popped his rib or something. They called me within like an hour or two. I was like, hell yeah. Within like a day, I think it was getting made. So,
We're certainly looking forward to the debut. I mean, last thing for me, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the conversation people are already having. How quickly can this guy be UFC champion, right? I mean, how quickly can this guy be at the top of the division? So how are you looking at that? I mean, are you putting a timeline on things, or like how you see your career progressing, how soon till you're at the top, or are you patient in this rise?
I'm already a multi-time world champion. I'm 20-1 with 16 finishes. I got more finishes and a better record than every single guy ranked right now. I'm already a multi-time world champion. That's beaten the who's who, very good names in MMA. So I plan to win this fight, and I expect to be at the top of the division. Whether it's a title fight next, I don't know, but I don't mind what it is, as long as it's a step up, I plan to be successful against Mario Bautista, and then move forward, hopefully the top 5, top 3. I don't fear any man, so any of them are fine.
Patchy, you've been saying that you're the best bantamweight in the world for many years now, and of course you got hit with comments like, "Oh, you're fighting the B leagues. Why don't you come over here and test it?" How does it feel to like shut everybody up and be like, "I'm finally here, and you're about to see it"?
Well, it's like, what now, And they'll all be able to see what I can do in 3 weeks, Everyone that's been in the gym, I'm feared, They know it as well as I know it, because I've trained with so many people. I've made so many people say uncle and tap, your favorite fighter's fighter, So it's like, for them to say that I wasn't elite and stuff, it almost was comical to me because of like how much work I was doing and how many people I submit on a daily basis. But now that I'm here, I get a chance to prove it. And in 3 weeks, I plan to, run him over, man. I plan to put him away. And, I know guys have finished him before, but I plan to put him away and, prove that I'm different than everyone else in this division, and I'm different than, these other top-ranked guys.
And it seems like it's just a perfect position because you're fighting on the card with the bantamweight title on the line. Is it just make perfect sense?
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. Me and Merab have trained for years together, and I respect him. I really do hope Merab wins against O'Malley. I'd like down the line, us to make some money together. And just duke it out for that title as I get closer to it. But I think it makes perfect sense, being that it's the title fight. But I also think it makes perfect sense. I'm a New York guy, man. Everyone forgets I made my Bellator debut when I was an underdog against Ricky Bandejas, like a 3-1 underdog, and I choked him out in a minute flat. Now I get to go into New Jersey, 6 hours from my hometown, and make my UFC debut after years of clawing at the bit to get here. And, I have money, I have belts, I have all this stuff, but I don't have notoriety. And that's what I'm coming for on June 7th. I'm coming to show the world who I am.
And I guess that's kind of like the question everybody wants to know is, obviously you've trained with Merab several times, rolled with him, cornered him. If that fight gets made, is it kind of just it's business?
Yeah, just business. When like a couple months ago, we had been in the gym and I seen him and I told him, I don't know what's going to happen with my PFL deal, and I want to be a man to you, and I want to come to you and tell you, I may come over there. And me being a 3-time world champion, demolishing everybody that I fought in over the last few years, I knew I would get a push towards the top of the division. Now, barring, I didn't know Chito would go out and I'd have to fight number 10. I honestly thought I'd have to fight maybe someone up in the upper echelon of 5 or better. But, I take what I'm not picky about it. I take what I'm offered, and, I believe in hard work and making, I believe in having to earn my way too here. So I didn't mind taking it. But what I'm saying is that, I told him as a man that I could potentially be coming over here, and that if we did fight, I would hope it would be for the title down the line, and it's just business. His dreams are the same dreams as I have, and my mom that, a single mom that raised me and my brothers and sisters back there, she raised me to work my ass off, and she raised me since I was a kid. So, I'm not doing this just for myself. I'm doing this for my family, and that title, it comes with setting your family up for life. So, it doesn't matter who's in the way. It doesn't matter who.
Final one for me. Your buddy Aaron Pico is over here too. Were you stoked to see him come over here?
Yeah, he messaged me like right when I got put on the screen there, just right in the Gilbert fight right now. He messaged me and we've been talking. I'm super excited for him, and I'm super excited when he comes out to Vegas so we can like chop it up and cross train again. We trained for years together. Like I said, we fought on MSG years ago together. So it'll be cool to see him over here, and I believe he's one of the sleepers, man. People don't know Pico's a problem.
While that Bellator audience is big, the UFC audience is worldwide. There's going to be some fans that are finally seeing you for the first time, So if you had to describe your fight style, and what do you think the biggest thing that they're going to see when they first watch you fight that they maybe had no idea of?
I'm just a finisher, I got 15 finishes at bantamweight. I'm a submission artist. I got 13 subs, and I get submissions from everywhere, so I don't know, besides like Charles Oliveira, who can like get rear naked chokes, knee bars, salute stretches, arm bars, like all these sorts of different submissions. I have a wide array of them. So I look forward to showing that off, and showing like a different level of jiu-jitsu, like the new breed of fighting in 2025. I feel like the grappling is different, and I feel like I'm among the top of them,
Would you say your jiu-jitsu in the bantamweight division is the best?
Yeah, 100%, without a doubt.
Now, looking at you mentioned your mom being here. I don't know if your mom was there when you signed with Bellator, but what did it mean to her to see you achieve this dream of yours and to be here when this happened?
Like I said, my mom was there when I won in Madison Square Garden. I won in a minute. I remember running outside and hugging my family outside of MSG after I just won in front of like 20,000 people. She was also there when I knocked out Rufian Stotts in another 1 minute to win $1 million, So she was there in Hawaii for that, my first world title, my first $1 million check. She was there when I made my debut in MSG, and she'll be there hopefully, in 3 weeks in June. So it just all comes full circle, and I'm extremely grateful and proud to, represent my family and, where I'm from.
And last for me, a lot of times when fighters have their partners fighting in the UFC as well. They don't like to fight on the same card. Would you like to fight on the card with Tatiana, or is that the kind of thing where, you know, you guys wouldn't want to do that to each other and focus on one particular fight in a night? Or would you rather fight on a card with her?
I mean, we've talked about it. I'm not opposed to anything, you know. I mean, I feel like if we fought on the same card, we just make a ton of money together. So it'd be cool, but it'd also be cool just to focus and help her as she does with me. You know, I think it might be, you know, because I love Tatiana, and you know, I don't know how I feel about fighting. You know, you got to keep your emotions in check, and I'm pretty cold and I'm pretty ruthless when it comes to fighting. You know, I try to put people completely unconscious. So I don't know about that. You know, it'd be a little weird, I guess.
Patchy over here to your left. Congrats on the move first off, but obviously on paper it's a short notice fight. But would you view it that way, or would you view it more of like a months and months of preparation, given how long you've been kind of vocal of, you know, asking for fights, and you know now it's finally here?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a short notice. It's probably like a year-long camp, honestly. It's probably the longest training camp I've had of my life. So definitely not short notice for me. Maybe like making the weight, but luckily I've been pretty much eating clean, and I've been staying on top of this just in case something did happen. The more months that went on that I kind of sat out, when I got to like 10, 11 months, I figured something was, you know, it has to come soon. So I had a feeling that something would, you know, kind of stick, and it did. So, you know, I'm very prepared for this fight.
And obviously, there's a whole new crowd that comes with, you know, fighting under the UFC banner. But do you think the way someone like Morri Bautista has been painted by the MMA community after the Jose Aldo fight, do you see that as like maybe an even bigger opportunity for you to even make more fans, just given how some people view him?
Yeah, I don't know why, man. The fans are ruthless to this poor guy, I tell you. You know, I think it's because he won a split decision against Aldo. You know, maybe Aldo should have got off the fence. You know, I don't know, but you know, I don't know. But I tell you, I'm gonna get justice for Aldo. You know what I mean? I'll tell you that. I'm gonna get justice for him because, you know, we're gonna be banging it out. We're gonna be fighting. We're gonna be engaging. He ain't holding me up against the fence.
And you mentioned there that the fans can expect a different version than the one that was fighting last May against Magomedov. So what do you think? What's different with this version of Patchy Mix compared to the one that fought in Paris last year?
The one that fought in Paris last year, you know, I think I'm fully healthy right now. I feel like the first time I fought Magomedov was the first, you know, that was the true example of like me, you know, because I was totally healthy in that fight as well. I think you're going to get a version of Patchy Mix like when I choked Maga unconscious or when I knocked Stotts completely dead. I think you're going to get a version of that, and you know, it's going to be a ruthless version. And I believe, you know, I believe, you know, Trevin Jones was able to put his lights out, and you know, I believe I could put his lights out, and I believe I could put his lights out whether it's on the feet or on the ground. So, you know, I'm coming to do that.
And I know you've touched on this before, and obviously no fighter wants to lose their fight, but how beneficial do you think was like the loss to Juan Archeletta, given maybe the lessons you learned that night and just how far you've come since then?
Yeah, bro. I mean, if you really look at the career, man, 11-0 as an amateur, 20-1 as a pro, 31 out of 32. And my only loss was in COVID in front of nobody. So, you know, just a silent arena in front of nobody, and had to get a very hard learning lesson, you know, after being up 2 rounds and then losing my last 3, just kind of getting tired. So what I focus on is always being in shape and always being able to, you know, push for these rounds that I, you know, to be able to be in the best cardio shape I can so that I don't end up like Jose Aldo where he gets pushed up against the fence the whole fight.
Last one for me. I feel like we see you at a lot of these UFC events, and they show you on the camera, but it's mainly because they're focusing on Tatiana. So how cool is it going to be now that they can actually label you on the cameras and at the
Like I tell you, man, my shoulder always made the cut. This part, so I always was thinking about leaning in and doing something, but I didn't want to cause no problems. But now to finally be here, it's surreal, and like I said, man, I'm here to take over, man. It won't take long. It will take me not long, but I am here to take over.
Patchy right here. Were there any other names offered to you besides Mario, or was it just like, hey, short notice, come get it in a couple weeks?
But like I said, man, within 24 hours of me being released, I think Chito just popped his rib. I got the call, and Mario was the call, you know. I mean, that I think because Jersey was the closest card, you know, the next card being it. I don't even think there was if there was bantamweights on this card and they pulled off, I would have said yes to that too. So, you know what I mean? It didn't matter when. I would have fought tomorrow. You know what I mean?
There you go. And a lot of guys coming over from other promotions. Obviously, you following MVP, Patricio Pitbull, and all that. You finally get to show you guys all as a whole get to show what you really could do, right? With now against like the best in the world. In terms of making the jump from Bellator to UFC, like what are you expecting when it comes to competition?
Well, I don't expect, man. I feel like these other guys have a little bit of they're different than me, you know? If you look at my last 6 opponents, they have a combined record of 125 and like 15. I have a harder my last 6 opponents, that's harder records than every single guy ranked at bantamweight now. So it's not up in competition. The only thing it is just up in promoting me in media, you know what I mean? These guys all have names, and I will put all those names in my wallet in a couple months, you know? They'll all be mine.
And final one for me. How frustrating has this year plus been out of action, to the point where you pretty much were pushed to going on social media and saying like, hey, hello, I'm right here, I'm champ, when do we get a fight? What's these last year plus been like for you?
It's been frustrating, man, to be honest with you. I'm not even going to lie. A lot of... I don't know, man. I've been bitching a lot at home, probably, to be honest with you. I'm just probably driving my family crazy, just bitching about it all the time. I want to fight. No, all it really was is I just wanted to stay active in fighting. And, that was probably the hardest part. But it wasn't like, I don't really put the necessary blame on one particular person. I know cards fell out, and I know that... it wasn't just me not fighting, is what I'm saying. It was a majority of people. It's not like I was singled out. So I didn't feel like, what's the word? Like, I didn't feel like they, singled me out and feel like some revenge or something against them. I knew that it was a lot of people having to deal with the similar problem. And I just was praying that, not just myself, but everyone could stay active and just make, some money for their families. That's it.